It happens again, the same dream, the same familiar terror that arrives only in the deepest hours of the night. You are falling, a dizzying, weightless plunge into an abyss that has no bottom, the phantom wind rushing past your ears, a silent scream caught in your throat, and you know, with absolute certainty, that you will fall forever. Or perhaps for you, it isn't the fall. Perhaps it is the hallway, a corridor that stretches into an impossible distance, lined with doors that have no handles, their wood swollen shut in a way that feels ancient and permanent. You run, but the end of the hallway never gets closer. You try the doors, but your fingers find only smooth, unyielding surfaces. You wake up, not with a jolt, but with a slow, cold dread seeping into your bones, your heart hammering against your ribs. The images fade, but the feeling remains, a ghostly residue that clings to you long after the sun has risen. And you are left with the one persistent question, a question that whispers in the quiet moments of your day. Why? Why do I keep having this dream? This feeling of being trapped, of being powerless, of running without moving, does not belong only to the landscape of sleep. It is the echo of our waking lives. It is the quiet desperation of a job that dims your light, a daily routine that feels like a prison built of invisible bars. It is the anxiety of a relationship that has no clear exit sign, the silent panic of knowing you are meant for more, but feeling stuck in a story that someone else seems to be writing for you. We live in a world that promises endless connection, yet we feel profoundly lost. We are told to hustle, to climb, to achieve, yet we often feel like we are simply falling, with no safety net in sight. And so, our minds, in their infinite and mysterious wisdom, send us these nightly films, these recurring dramas. We dismiss them as random firings of neurons, as stress-induced nonsense. But what if we are wrong? What if these dreams are not a malfunction, but a message? What if they are not a curse, but a coded dispatch from the deepest, wisest part of your own consciousness, a gift from a spiritual dimension that sees the map of your life far more clearly than you can? By learning the sacred, symbolic language of your dreams, you can unlock those sealed doors in your own psyche. You can find the key to your own evolution, and receive guidance not from some external guru, but from the most authentic and powerful source you will ever know, yourself. To begin this journey into the world of your recurring dreams, we must first stand at the gateway and decide what we believe about the nature of the path ahead. For most of modern history, the gate has been guarded by a very practical, very sterile explanation. Science, in its quest to map and measure every corner of our existence, has often told us that dreams are little more than random noise, the nightly janitorial work of the brain. They are the fragments of your day being sorted and filed away, the mental static of memory consolidation. Or, they are a primitive threat rehearsal system, a neural simulation where you practice running from tigers that no longer exist, a leftover program from a far more dangerous time. It's a comfortable explanation. Tidy, scientific. And yet, for anyone who has woken in a cold sweat from a dream that felt more real than their own waking life, it feels profoundly, achingly incomplete. It's like describing a grand cathedral by listing its inventory of stone and glass, while saying nothing of the art, the faith, the silence, and the sense of the divine that fills its halls. It describes the mechanism, but completely misses the meaning. The great shift in our understanding began when pioneers of the mind, like Sigmund Freud, dared to suggest that dreams were not random at all, but were in fact a road, a royal road, into the hidden kingdom of the unconscious mind. But it was his student, Carl Jung, who truly threw open the gates and revealed the sheer scale and majesty of this inner world. Jung proposed that our mind isn't just a single entity, but a complex landscape. There is the conscious mind, the small, well-lit island where we spend our waking days, believing it to be the entirety of our world. But beneath this island lies a vast, deep ocean, the personal subconscious. Think of it as a sprawling, subterranean library within you, holding every experience you've ever had, every emotion you've ever felt, every thought you've pushed away or forgotten. It remembers the face of your first-grade teacher, the sting of a forgotten insult, the joy of a childhood summer afternoon. Most of the time, this library is dark, its contents uncatalogued. But at night, the librarian, your dreaming self, wanders its halls, pulling books from the shelves and projecting their stories onto the screen of your mind. But Jung's most revolutionary idea went even deeper. He suggested that beneath the personal subconscious, there is another, even more profound layer. He called it the collective unconscious. This is not just your library, it is everyone's library. It is the psychic bedrock that connects all of humanity, across all cultures and all of time. It is the shared spiritual inheritance of our species, a sort of psychic internet that we are all logged into from birth. This collective unconscious doesn't speak in the language of our daily lives, but in a universal, primal language of symbols and archetypes. The hero with 1,000 faces, the wise old man, the great mother, the shadow, the trickster. These are the ancient patterns, the original blueprints of human experience that reside within this shared field. This is why a person in Tokyo can dream of a snake as a symbol of transformation, and a person in Toronto can have the exact same dream with the exact same meaning, without ever having communicated. They are both tapping into the same ancient, universal wellspring of wisdom. So, what does this mean for your recurring dream? The one about falling, or being chased, or finding yourself unprepared for a test you didn't know you had. A regular dream might be like the Daily Mail, a random assortment of thoughts and memories from the day, a postcard from the personal subconscious. But a recurring dream is different. A recurring dream is a certified letter. It is a message from the deep, marked as high priority, that your conscious mind has failed to open. The subconscious, or perhaps an even deeper intelligence, keeps sending the message, again and again, hoping that this time, you will pay attention. The intensity of the dream, the frequency of its return, is a direct measure of the message's importance to your growth, to your healing, to your soul's journey. It is a loving, if sometimes terrifying, insistence that there is something you need to see. There is an old story about a master sculptor in Florence. For months, he was haunted by a recurring dream. In the dream, he saw nothing but a single, colossal block of white marble, flawed in one specific corner with a dark, gray vein. The dream was so persistent, so devoid of any other detail, that it began to infuriate him. He dismissed it as meaningless, a product of an overworked mind. Yet, night after night, the same block of stone appeared, silent, massive, and waiting. The dream gave him no peace. Finally, exhausted and intrigued, he surrendered. He decided to trust the vision. He began to travel to the quarries in Carrara, walking for days among mountains of stone, searching for a ghost from his own mind. His apprentices thought he was mad. He would walk past hundreds of perfect, flawless blocks of marble, tapping them, listening to them, and shaking his head. Then, one afternoon, in a forgotten corner of a quarry, he saw it. It was his stone, the colossal size, the brilliant white, and there, in the corner, was the familiar, flawed gray vein, exactly as it had appeared in his sleep. He felt a shock of recognition that went through his entire body. He bought the stone at great expense and had it brought back to his studio. For months, he simply walked around it, studying it, while his rivals mocked him for acquiring such a flawed, difficult piece. But the sculptor wasn't trying to force an idea onto the stone. He was listening to it. He was remembering his dream. And then he began to carve. He chipped away, not what he wanted, but what the stone itself told him to remove. He was not creating something new. He was liberating something that was already there. And from this flawed, haunting block of marble, he carved the David, a masterpiece that had been waiting, sleeping, inside the stone all along. Your recurring dream is that block of marble. It may seem flawed, frustrating, or meaningless. It may haunt your nights and leave you feeling confused. But it is not random noise. It is a gateway. It is a sacred communication channel, pointing you toward a masterpiece sleeping within yourself. It is a call to pick up your own chisel, to stop ignoring the vision, and to begin the work of revealing what is waiting to be born. The first step, the most important step, is simply to believe that the message is there. And now, we shall begin to learn how to read it. Now that we have accepted the premise that our dreams are a purposeful communication, we can begin to translate their most common and urgent messages. We start with perhaps the most primal of all recurring dream scenarios, the endless chase. You know this dream. It lives in your bones. The feeling of your lungs burning for air, your legs turning to lead, the desperate, clumsy scramble over obstacles that seem to rise from the ground itself. And behind you, there is the sound, the undeniable, terrifying sound of pursuit. It might be footsteps, heavy and rhythmic. It might be the growl of an unseen beast, or the chilling silence of a presence you can feel getting closer and closer. The panic is absolute, a pure, undiluted survival instinct that floods every cell of your being. Your only thought is to escape, but the landscape of the dream is a cruel trickster. The alleys are always dead ends. The doors are always locked. The sanctuary you run towards is always just a little further away. You run, and you run, until your own exhaustion finally trips you up, or you wake, gasping for air in the safety of your own bed, the phantom terror still echoing in your heart. The most direct interpretation, the one that lies right on the surface, is that you are running from something in your waking life. The dream is a brutally honest metaphor for avoidance. Your subconscious, in its wisdom, is showing you a film of your own behavior. So, the first question you must ask yourself is, what am I running from? Are you running from a difficult conversation you know you need to have with a loved one? Are you running from the decision to leave a job or a relationship that is slowly draining the life from you? Are you running from a responsibility, a debt, a commitment you made and now regret? The chase is your subconscious mind's way of holding up a mirror and saying, look at the energy you are expending trying to avoid this. Look how it pursues you, even into your sleep. This thing you are running from will not simply disappear if you ignore it. In fact, the dream is telling you that the act of running is what gives it its power and its terrifying speed. To deepen the message, we must look at the identity of what pursues you. If you are being chased by a faceless, shadowy figure, or a monstrous creature you cannot quite identify, you are likely running from a powerful, unexamined emotion within yourself. This creature is the embodiment of your own fear, your guilt, your anger, or your jealousy. It's a faceless terror because you have refused to give it a name in your waking life. It's a monster because, in the dark, unacknowledged feelings grow distorted and grotesque. If, however, the pursuer is a person you know, a family member, a colleague, a former friend, the dream is pointing to a specific, unresolved conflict. There is a tension, a breakdown in communication, a wound that has not been healed between you. The dream is a stage where this unresolved energy plays itself out, night after night. And then there is the most profound and unsettling possibility. The realization that the one chasing you is you. You catch a glimpse in a reflection, or you just know, intuitively, that the pursuer shares your face. This is the dream of self-sabotage, of self-judgment. It means that one part of you is desperately trying to move forward, while another part, the one full of fear and limiting beliefs, is trying to pull you back, to keep you safe in the small, familiar prison of who you used to be. This is where we touch upon a core spiritual concept, what Carl Jung called the shadow self. The shadow is the vault within your subconscious that holds all the parts of yourself that you have disowned, denied, and repressed. It is everything you were taught was unacceptable. Your rage, your wildness, your vulnerability, your deepest desires, your raw ambition. We push these things into the darkness, afraid of what they might do, afraid of what others will think. But they do not die in the dark. They coalesce. They form an energy, a personality of their own. And in the dream, this shadow self often takes the form of the pursuer. It is not chasing you to destroy you. It is chasing you to be seen. It is chasing you to be integrated, to be accepted back into the whole of who you are. It is the lost part of your own soul, begging for reunion. The more you run from it, the more monstrous and terrifying it becomes, because it must scream to be heard over the sound of your own frantic footsteps. There is a timeless Zen parable that perfectly illustrates this dynamic. A monk is walking in the mountains when he hears the roar of a tiger. He turns and sees the magnificent, hungry beast charging toward him. He runs for his life, the tiger close at his heels. He comes to the edge of a great cliff, and with no other option, he grabs onto a thick vine and swings himself down over the precipice. As he hangs there, clinging to the vine, he looks up and sees the angry tiger, snarling and pacing on the cliff edge above. He looks down, and at the bottom of the cliff, another hungry tiger is waiting for him to fall. He is trapped. Then, he notices something. Two small mice, one white and one black, have emerged from a crevice in the cliff face and have begun to nibble on the very vine he is clinging to. He understands. The white mouse is day, the black mouse is night. Time itself is eating away at his only chance of survival. His situation is utterly hopeless. It is at that moment, in the face of certain death, from above, below, and from the passage of time itself, that the monk sees something else. Growing from the cliff face, just within his reach, is a single, wild strawberry, gleaming red in the sun. He looks at the tiger above. He looks at the tiger below. He looks at the two mice gnawing away at his vine. Then, he plucks the strawberry, puts it in his mouth, and savors it. It was, the story says, the most delicious thing he had ever tasted. This is the ultimate teaching of the chase dream. The solution is not to run faster. The solution is not to find a better hiding place. The solution is to stop. It is to find the courage, in the midst of the panic, to be fully present, just as the monk was. The next time you find yourself in this dream, try a radical experiment. Stop running. Turn around. Face the thing that pursues you. Plant your feet, take a breath in the dream world, and ask it, what do you want from me? This single act of courage can shatter the entire dynamic of the dream. You may find that the terrifying monster shrinks into a small, frightened child. You may find that the shadowy figure begins to speak, telling you a truth you have been avoiding. It may even dissolve or offer you a gift, a key, a map. By facing it, you reclaim your power. You are no longer the victim of your dream, you become its hero. You learn that freedom is not found in the speed of your escape, but in the stillness of your courage to finally turn and face what was a part of you all along. From the desperate, forward-moving panic of the chase, we now shift to a different kind of terror, a vertical dread that pulls you down into the very heart of gravity. The dream of falling. There is no pursuer here, no monster to outrun. The enemy is the air itself, the space between you and the ground far, far below. It often begins on the edge of a skyscraper, a cliffside, or sometimes, you simply find yourself already in motion, tumbling through an endless sky. There is a lurch in your stomach, a sensation so physically real that it can follow you into the waking world. It is the feeling of having no support, no control, no agency. You are pure momentum, an object at the mercy of a fundamental law of the universe, and all you can do is witness your own descent. Like the chase, this dream is a direct and powerful metaphor for a state of being in your waking life. It is the signature dream of insecurity. It is the feeling of the ground beneath your feet giving way, of your foundations becoming unstable. This dream will often visit you when you are navigating a major life transition. Perhaps you've taken on a new role at work, a promotion that you consciously wanted, but that your subconscious fears you are not equipped to handle. You feel like you are in over your head, and so, at night, you fall. Perhaps your financial situation has become precarious, a business is failing, or the bills are piling up, and the stable ground of security you once took for granted has eroded into a steep cliff. And so, at night, you fall. It could be a relationship that is on shaky ground, or a health diagnosis that has suddenly made your own body feel like an unsafe territory. The falling dream is a dispatch from your central nervous system, an honest report on your sense of stability and control. And in a world that demands we constantly seem composed, in control, and effortlessly successful, this dream is the place where our secret, terrified confession is finally made. The confession that we are not in control at all. But here, we must make a crucial distinction. We must investigate the quality, the texture, of the fall itself. For most, the experience is one of pure terror. It is a scream all the way down. This is a clear signal of intense anxiety and a desperate, white-knuckled need to regain control. Your ego, the part of you that identifies with being a competent, capable adult, is horrified by its own powerlessness. But what if the dream is different? Some people report a shift. The initial terror of the fall gives way to a strange sense of acceptance, even liberation. They relax their limbs, they stop fighting the descent, and the fall becomes less of a plunge and more of a glide. It becomes a form of flying, albeit one without propulsion. If this happens, the message is changing. The dream is no longer just about your anxiety. It is now offering you the solution. It is teaching you the profound spiritual technology of surrender. This is the great esoteric secret of the falling dream. It is an invitation to the death of the ego. Not a physical death, but the death of that frantic, controlling part of us that believes it has to manage, predict, and manipulate every outcome of our lives. We grip the steering wheel of our life so tightly, believing that our constant effort is the only thing keeping us on the road. The dream of falling is the universe's way of unclenching our fingers and saying, let go, just for a moment. See what happens. It suggests that true support is not found in holding on tighter, but in trusting that even in a free fall, there is a force that will hold you. Call it the universe, call it God, call it the Tao, call it your higher self. The name does not matter. The experience is what counts. It is the deep, cellular understanding that you are part of a process far larger than your own plans and fears. The dream is a training ground, a flight simulator for the soul, teaching you how to have faith, not in a specific outcome, but in the process of life itself. We can see this teaching woven into the very fabric of our ancient myths. Consider the story of Icarus. The traditional telling is a simple cautionary tale about hubris, a warning from a fearful father to a reckless son. Don't fly too high, don't fly too low. It's a story about limitations, rules, and the terrible price of disobedience. But let us look at it through a more mystical lens. Icarus and his father, Daedalus, construct wings from feathers and wax. These are man-made constructs, products of the clever, problem-solving ego. They are artificial tools to escape an artificial prison. When Icarus begins to fly, he is overcome with ecstasy. He is not just escaping, he is experiencing transcendence. He flies higher and higher, not out of arrogance, but out of a desire to merge with the sun, the source of all light and life. When the sun melts the wax on his wings, the traditional story calls this his punishment. But what if it was his liberation? The melting wax was the dissolution of his man-made ego, the destruction of the artificial tool he thought he needed. And his fall was not a failure. It was his final, complete surrender into the vast, warm embrace of the sea, emerging with the great, elemental forces of the cosmos. His fall was not a fall from grace, it was a fall into it. This brings us to the most significant and often overlooked detail of the falling dream, the fact that you almost never, ever, hit the ground. You wake up before impact. Why? Because the dream is not about the catastrophe. It is not trying to show you your own destruction. The entire message, the entire lesson, is contained within the process of the fall itself. The terror is not in the destination, it is in the journey of being out of control. By waking you up before you hit the ground, your subconscious is telling you something vital. It is saying, the disaster you are endlessly bracing for is not the real problem here. Your fear, your constant anticipation of the worst, that is the problem. The bracing itself is the source of your suffering. The dream mercifully removes the final impact to show you that the fear was self-contained, that it existed only in the moments of the fall. The falling dream is ultimately an act of grace. It is an invitation to loosen your grip, to exhale, to let go of the frantic need to control what was never truly controllable in the first place. It is a lesson that sometimes the only way to discover that you have wings is to have the courage to step off the cliff. From the elemental fears of falling and being chased, we now enter a landscape that is more structured, more civilized, and yet, for many, even more terrifying. We enter the classroom of the mind. The dream begins with a jolt of ice-cold recognition. You are suddenly aware that today is the day of the final exam, an exam you completely forgot to study for. The panic is immediate and overwhelming as you find yourself in a long, confusing hallway, unable to find the right room. The clock on the wall is ticking, its hands spinning at an impossible speed. When you finally burst into the classroom, everyone else is already writing, their heads bowed in concentration. You slide into your seat, your heart hammering, and look down at the paper. The questions are written in a language you have never seen, or they are about a subject you have never studied. You pick up your pen, but it contains no ink, or it melts in your hand like wax. Every detail of the dream is a finely crafted instrument of psychological torture, designed to make you feel exposed, foolish, and fraudulent. This, right here, is the classic, recurring nightmare of the imposter syndrome. It is the theater where your inner judge takes center stage. You might think that this dream is a relic of your school days, a phantom stress left over from a time of intense academic pressure. But this is a profound misunderstanding. This dream does not fade with age or success. In fact, it often becomes more frequent and more intense the more you achieve in your waking life. This is the secret nightmare of the CEO, the celebrated artist, the brilliant surgeon, the person who seems to have it all figured out. Why? Because the higher you climb, the further you have to fall. The more you are perceived as an expert, the more terrifying the prospect of being found out becomes. The inner judge doesn't care about your resume, your awards, or your bank account. It is a primitive, relentless part of your psyche that holds onto a single, core belief. You are a fraud, you have fooled everyone, and it is only a matter of time until you are exposed. The dream is the manifestation of this deep, abiding fear of being seen as unworthy of your own success. The test itself is a powerful metaphor. It is rarely about the calculus or history you failed to study in your youth. The test is the current, critical challenge you are facing in your life right now. It is the major project at work that you secretly feel you can't deliver. It is the challenge of being a good parent when you feel you have no instruction manual. It is the public speech you have to give, the difficult conversation you must lead, the creative work you are trying to bring into the world. The dream is reflecting your own internal narrative of inadequacy. It is a mirror to your own self-doubt. The feeling of being unprepared in the dream is a direct translation of your feeling of being not good enough in the face of life's great examinations. You are so afraid of failing, so terrified of the judgment of others, that your mind creates a scenario where failure is absolutely, unequivocally guaranteed, perhaps to show you that the fear itself is the primary experience. Imagine a man, let's call him James. To the outside world, James is the pinnacle of success. He runs a thriving company, lives in a beautiful home, and has a loving family. But 2 or 3 nights a month, he is no longer James the CEO. He is Jimmy, the terrified 19-year-old, sitting in a university lecture hall, staring at a physics exam that might as well be written in ancient Sumerian. He wakes up with his heart pounding, drenched in sweat, with a feeling of shame so profound it can ruin his entire day. His external reality, filled with proof of his competence, is completely powerless against the internal reality of his dream. The dream is telling him that his sense of self-worth is still perilously tied to his performance. It's a message from his soul that he has built a magnificent skyscraper on a faulty foundation, the foundation of a belief that he must constantly prove himself to be worthy of love and respect. The inner judge in his mind doesn't see the successful executive, it only sees the scared kid who is afraid he doesn't know the answers. So what is the solution? What is the profound spiritual message being offered by this recurring anxiety? It is an invitation to do the most radical thing imaginable, to accept your own imperfection. The dream is a call to gracefully resign from the impossible job of being perfect. It is your deeper self, your soul, whispering to you in the language of fear, you can put down this burden now. Your value as a person is not written on an exam paper. Your worth is not determined by your ability to know all the answers. This dream is a powerful opportunity to decouple your identity from your achievements. It is asking you to find a source of self-love that is unconditional. To be able to say, even if I fail this test, even if I am exposed as imperfect and sometimes ignorant, I am still whole. I am still worthy. It's about shifting from a mindset of earning your worth to one of inherent worth. The test in the dream feels like a judgment on your capability, but it's actually a plea for your own compassion. It's not predicting your failure, it is begging for your kindness. The next time you wake from such a dream, instead of shaking off the fear, sit with it for a moment. Thank your mind for showing you where the pressure is. And then offer yourself the compassion you would offer a dear friend in the same situation. Remind yourself that it is okay not to know everything. It is okay to be human. By doing so, you are not just studying for the test, you are challenging the authority of the judge himself. We move now from the externalized dramas of judgment and pursuit to an experience that is deeply internal, visceral, and uniquely disturbing. There are few dreams that provoke such a primal sense of horror as the dream of your teeth falling out. It does not have the adrenaline of the chase or the vertigo of the fall, but it possesses a quiet, sickening intimacy that is arguably more unsettling. The dream often begins with a subtle sensation, a strange looseness in a single tooth. You probe it with your tongue, and the dream logic confirms your fear. It wobbles. Then, with a gentle, horrifying pressure, it simply comes free, resting in your palm, unnaturally white and alien. The initial shock quickly cascades into full-blown panic as you feel a chain reaction, a sickening shift throughout your entire jaw. One after another, your teeth begin to crumble like chalk or fall out whole, filling your mouth with a gritty, unmanageable clutter. You try to speak, to scream, but you can only produce a muffled, garbled sound, choked by the very things that were meant to give your words form and power. You wake with a dry mouth and a desperate need to run your tongue over your own teeth, just to confirm they are still there, solid and rooted. On the surface, this dream can sometimes have simple, literal triggers. Anxiety about an upcoming dental appointment, concerns about your health, or societal pressures related to appearance and aging can all plant the seed for this nightly horror show. But for a dream, this common, this universal, and this emotionally potent, we must look far beyond the surface. We must understand the profound symbolism of teeth. In the most primitive, biological sense, your teeth are your tools for survival. They are your weapons, your defense. They are what you use to bite, to tear, to hold on. They represent your aggression, your power, your ability to bite off a piece of the world and make it your own. To lose your teeth in a dream is to experience a symbolic castration of your own personal power. It is a message from your subconscious that in some area of your life, you feel utterly powerless, defenseless, and unable to assert yourself. It's the feeling of being in a situation where you have no bite, where you cannot fight back or stand your ground. Beyond mere power, teeth are inextricably linked to your confidence and your sense of self in the world. Your smile is a primary tool of social connection. It is a signal of confidence, of warmth, of vitality. The dream of losing your teeth often reflects a deep-seated fear of being judged, a catastrophic loss of confidence, or a profound sense of shame or embarrassment. Have you recently done something that made you lose face? Are you in a situation that is causing you to doubt your own competence and appeal? Your dream is manifesting this loss of social confidence in the most graphic way possible, by dismantling the very architecture of your smile. Furthermore, teeth are essential for communication. They give structure and clarity to your speech. When they crumble and fall in your dream, it is often a sign that you feel your voice is not being heard. It can signify a feeling that your words lack weight and impact, or that you are struggling to express yourself clearly. It can also be a reflection of regret, a sign that you have said something you wish you could take back, words that left a bad taste in your mouth, now manifesting as a dream of your mouth literally falling apart. This dream is one of the most reliable indicators of extreme stress and anxiety. It often surfaces during periods of significant change, immense pressure, or when you feel that events are spiraling out of your control. There is even a direct physiological link. Many people grind their teeth at night, a condition called bruxismus, a physical response to stress. It is entirely possible that the physical sensation of this grinding can trigger the subconscious mind to create a narrative to explain it. The narrative of your teeth becoming loose and falling out. It is a powerful example of the seamless connection between the anxieties of the mind and the tensions held within the body. The ultimate spiritual message of this dream, however, is not just a diagnosis of stress or powerlessness. It is a powerful call to action. It is an urgent, flashing red light on the dashboard of your soul, warning you that you are experiencing a critical leakage of your own life force. Your subconscious is asking you, in the most alarming way it knows how, where are you giving your power away? To whom are you surrendering your voice? Are you staying silent in a relationship or a job where you need to speak your truth? Are you saying yes to demands that drain your energy and violate your own needs? Are you allowing the words or judgments of others to chip away at your own sense of self-worth? The dream is a plea for you to reclaim your integrity. Think of the ancient story of Samson, whose superhuman strength was tied to his long, uncut hair. The story is often seen as being about the hair itself, but it is much deeper than that. Samson's strength came from his adherence to a sacred vow, a set of principles. The hair was merely the outward symbol of his inner integrity. The moment he betrayed his own principles, the moment he gave away his secret and compromised his truth for the sake of another, he became weak. His power didn't just leave him, he gave it away. In that moment of betrayal, Delilah could cut his hair, and his strength was gone. Your recurring dream of losing your teeth is your own personal Samson story. Your teeth are the symbol of your power, your voice, your integrity. When you compromise your truth, when you allow your boundaries to be violated, when you give your power away, you are, in essence, inviting the world to cut your hair, to pull your teeth. This dream, as horrifying as it feels, is a profound gift. It is a clear, unmistakable signal that it is time to stop the leak. It is time to find your voice, to speak your truth, to set your boundaries, and to take your power back. Having explored the intimate, bodily horror of losing your power, we now move into a different kind of confinement, one of space, structure, and architecture, the dream of being trapped. The feeling of powerlessness is still here, but it is no longer about a loss of personal faculty. It is about the environment itself becoming a prison. You find yourself in a room with no doors. Or the doors are there, but the handles crumble to dust in your hands. You push against the walls, but they are unyielding, impossibly solid. A window looks out onto a beautiful landscape, but it is made of unbreakable glass. The feeling is one of claustrophobic panic, a rising dread that you are sealed in, forgotten, destined to pace the same small square of existence for eternity. To unlock the meaning of this powerful recurring dream, you must first understand the most fundamental law of dream interpretation, a truth so profound it can change the way you see yourself forever. The house is you. Every building you enter in a dream, every structure you explore, is a blueprint of your own psyche. You are not just a visitor within its walls. You are the architect, the resident, and the house itself. It is the architecture of your soul. Once you grasp this foundational idea, the dream begins to open up like a dollhouse, revealing its secrets. Every room, every level of this house, represents a different aspect of your being. The attic, high up under the roof, is the seat of your higher consciousness. It is your intellect, your beliefs, your spiritual aspirations, the place where you store your highest ideals and future plans. Conversely, the basement or cellar, dark and subterranean, represents your deep subconscious. It is where you keep the things you have repressed, your primal instincts, your forgotten traumas, and your shadow self. It is the foundation upon which the entire house rests, full of mystery, and sometimes fear. The kitchen is the place of nourishment and transformation. It symbolizes how you take in life's raw experiences and energies and transform them into something that sustains you, or fails to. The bedroom is the realm of intimacy, vulnerability, and your most private self, the place where you rest and connect with others on the deepest level. The living room is your public persona, the face you show the world, how you decorate yourself for guests. And the bathroom is the space of cleansing and release, where you wash away what is old and let go of emotional waste. With this map in hand, the dream of being trapped in a specific room becomes intensely personal and diagnostic. If you are perpetually trapped in the attic, you may be living too much in your head, caught in a prison of intellectual analysis, disconnected from your body and your emotions. If you find yourself locked in the basement, your subconscious is signaling that a repressed memory or a primal fear is demanding your attention, trapping you in an old pattern you cannot escape. Being stuck in the kitchen might mean you are trapped in a caretaking role, endlessly nourishing others while starving your own soul. The walls of the dream room are the very real, though often invisible, walls you have built around yourself in your waking life. They are the walls of a limiting belief, like "I'm not creative" or "I'm unlovable." They are the walls of a dead-end job, a restrictive relationship, or a family role you have long since outgrown but feel powerless to leave. The dream is not punishing you, it is showing you your own cage so that you might finally recognize its bars. But these dreams are not always about confinement. Sometimes, in the most wonderful and mysterious of ways, they are about expansion. You might be dreaming you are in your childhood home, a place you know like the back of your hand, when you suddenly notice a door you have never seen before. You open it, and it leads to a beautiful, light-filled library, or a secret garden, or an artist's studio. This is a breathtakingly positive dream. It is a message that you have just unlocked a new part of yourself. You have discovered a hidden talent, a dormant passion, a new level of wisdom you never knew you possessed. A locked door, on the other hand, represents a potential that is not yet accessible to you. It might be a trauma that needs the right key, perhaps therapy, or a spiritual practice to be safely unlocked and healed. It could be a future potential that you are not yet ready to step into. The dream is showing you that there is more to your house, more to yourself, than you currently know. The very condition of the house is also a critical clue. Is it dilapidated, with peeling paint and a leaking roof? This suggests a state of self-neglect, burnout, or a set of old, crumbling beliefs that no longer serve you. Is the house under active construction? This is a wonderful sign that you are in a period of conscious growth, actively working on yourself and building a new way of being. The dream is a progress report on your own evolution. There is a beautiful parable about a man who lived his entire life in a single, small, gray room. He believed this room was the entirety of the world. It was safe, it was predictable, it was all he knew. He cooked, ate, and slept within its four walls. One day, a fierce wind rattled the house, and a small patch of wallpaper peeled away, revealing the faint outline of a door he had never seen. It had been painted over so many times that it had become invisible, driven by a curiosity he had never felt before. He spent days scraping and digging at the outline until he could get his fingers around the edge. With a great cry of exertion, he pulled the door open. He expected to see nothing but the darkness of the wall cavity. Instead, he was blinded by light and overwhelmed by the scent of flowers. He had opened a door into a vast, sun-drenched conservatory filled with exotic plants and colorful birds. Stunned, he walked through it and found another door, which led to a grand ballroom with a crystal chandelier. Another door led to a library, its shelves stretching up to a vaulted ceiling, filled with all the wisdom of the ages. He had not been living in a room. He had been living in a forgotten closet of a magnificent, endless mansion. He had mistaken his prison for his home. This is the ultimate message of the house dream. The feeling of being trapped is not a life sentence. It is an invitation. It is your soul rattling the walls, creating a draft, trying to get you to notice the hidden doors all around you. It is asking you to challenge the belief that the small room of your current reality is all there is. It is calling you to become an explorer of your own inner architecture, to pick up the key, to turn the handle, and to step into the vast, undiscovered country of your own magnificent self. Having explored the solid architecture of the self, the very structure of our psyche, we now leave the land behind and plunge into a realm that is far more ancient, powerful, and formless. We journey into the world of water. Water in a dream is one of the most potent and direct symbols you can experience. It is the universal metaphor for the unconscious mind, the great collective sea from which all life emerges. It is the very substance of your emotional world. To dream of water is to receive a direct and unfiltered report on the current state of your heart and soul. Its condition, its movement, and your relationship to it are all a reflection of your own inner tides. Learning to speak the language of water is learning to understand the deepest truths of your own feelings. For many, the most terrifying and unforgettable water dream is that of the tsunami or the Great Flood. You are standing on a peaceful shore when you look out to the horizon and see it, a line of white that grows into a monstrous, churning wall of water, an impossibly huge wave that blots out the sun and rushes toward you with terrifying speed. Or perhaps the dream begins more quietly, with water seeping under your door, rising relentlessly up the walls of your home, submerging everything you own. This dream is a clear and urgent message that you are being overwhelmed by your emotions. It is the result of long-term repression, the grief you never allowed yourself to feel, the rage you swallowed, the anxieties you pushed down into the basement of your psyche, have all been gathering pressure, building behind a dam of denial. Now, that dam has broken. The dream is showing you that these emotions can no longer be contained. They are returning with the force of nature itself, threatening to sweep away the carefully constructed life your conscious mind has built. It is a frightening image, but it is also an invitation to finally deal with what you have been refusing to feel. The wave is not coming to destroy you, it is coming to cleanse you, to force a necessary reckoning. Then there are the dreams of murky, muddy, or stagnant water. You are trying to wade through a swamp, your feet sinking into a thick, smelly sludge. Or you are looking down into a pond, but the water is so cloudy and opaque you cannot see what lies beneath. This is the dream of confusion and emotional unclarity. It is a sign that your thoughts and perceptions are being clouded by unresolved feelings. You are in a situation in your waking life where you simply cannot see the truth clearly. You feel stuck, uncertain, and unable to make a decision. There are hidden things in your emotional depths, old resentments or fears, that are stirring up the sediment and making it impossible to see. The dream is a call for stillness. It is an invitation to stop struggling, to stop stirring up the mud, and to allow the waters of your mind to settle. Only when the sediment has fallen to the bottom can you see with clarity again and know what creatures truly lurk in your own depths. In beautiful contrast, we have the dreams of clear, calm, beautiful water. You are floating effortlessly in a turquoise sea, the sun warm on your skin. You are drinking from a crystal clear spring or gazing into a placid lake that perfectly mirrors the sky above. These are dreams of grace and harmony. They are a powerful affirmation from your subconscious that you have achieved a state of emotional peace and clarity. You are in alignment with your feelings. You are not fighting your own inner currents. These dreams often come after a period of intense emotional work or after you have successfully navigated a difficult life passage. It is your soul's way of rewarding you, of showing you the beauty and peace that come when you are living in harmony with your own truth. It is a confirmation that you are on the right path, a moment of profound serenity and well-being. Perhaps the most magical and spiritually significant water dream is the one in which you discover you can breathe underwater. The dream might begin with the panic of falling into a pool or being pulled under by a wave. You brace for the inevitable, the desperate burning for air, but it never comes. You take a hesitant breath, and miraculously, your lungs fill not with water, but with a substance that feels like pure life force. The panic dissolves into wonder as you realize you are at home here. In the deep, you can swim with the fish, explore sunken cities, and exist peacefully in the very heart of the emotional realm. This is a dream of profound mastery. It signifies that you are no longer afraid of your own subconscious depths. You have integrated its lessons, you have faced its shadows, and now you can navigate your most powerful emotions without being drowned by them. It is a sign of true spiritual and psychological maturity, a symbol that you have learned to make peace with the vast, mysterious ocean within. There is an old story of two sailors, a young upstart and a wise old captain. The young sailor was proud of his new, powerful ship. Whenever they encountered a storm, he would try to power through it, pointing the bow directly into the oncoming waves, his engine straining, his hull groping under the immense pressure. He fought every wave as an enemy. He often made it through, but his ship was always battered, his crew exhausted, his cargo damaged. The old captain, in his smaller, older vessel, used a different method. When the storm came, he would not fight the sea. He would watch the rhythm of the swells. He would feel the mood of the ocean. He would turn his ship, not to ram the waves head-on, but to ride up their great faces, to crest them, and to slide gently down their backs. He used the waves' own energy to lift him. He did not treat the ocean as an enemy to be conquered, but as a powerful force to be respected and navigated. His journey was smoother, his ship remained whole, and his crew felt safe. He knew that you could never defeat the ocean, you could only learn to sail it. This is the ultimate lesson of our water dreams. Our emotions are our inner ocean. We can spend our lives fighting the waves, building dams against the tides, and being terrified of the depths. Or, we can learn to become master sailors. The tsunami dream happens when you have fought the storm for too long. The dream of breathing underwater is the sign that you have finally become the old captain. Your dreams of water are a constant weather report from your soul, inviting you to stop fighting and to start navigating. They ask you to respect the power of your own heart, to float in its moments of calm, and to learn to surf its inevitable, magnificent waves. From the fluid, emotional depths of the ocean, our journey now takes us into an even more primal kingdom, the world of the animal. When an animal appears in your dream, you are receiving a communication from a part of yourself that predates language, logic, and civilization. You are encountering a pure, undiluted force of instinct. These creatures are messengers from the oldest parts of your brain, the wilderness of your own soul, and they carry a wisdom that cannot always be articulated, only felt. They are living symbols, embodiments of raw power, primal fears, and sacred guidance. To understand the animal in your dream is to begin a conversation with the wild, untamed spirit that lives within you. Consider one of the most ancient and powerfully charged dream symbols, the snake. For millennia, the snake has carried a profound duality. On one hand, it can represent a hidden danger, a betrayal, a venomous threat lurking in the grass of your life. A dream of being bitten by a snake is an urgent warning to pay attention to a toxic situation or person you may be ignoring. Yet, the snake is also one of the world's most sacred symbols of healing and transformation. Think of the rod of Asclepius, the symbol of modern medicine, with its serpent coiled around a staff. The snake endlessly sheds its skin, and so it represents rebirth, renewal, and the ability to let go of an old life to make way for a new one. In Eastern traditions, the coiled serpent at the base of the spine is the Kundalini, the raw, dormant life force energy that, when awakened, leads to spiritual enlightenment. When a snake appears in your dream, you must ask, is it threatening me? Or is it showing me the path to my own healing and transformation? Or perhaps you dream of a canine, a dog or a wolf. The dog is often a symbol of our tamed instincts, of loyalty, companionship, and unconditional love. A friendly dog in a dream is a wonderful sign that you have a healthy relationship with your own instinctual nature and that you are surrounded by true loyalty. An angry, snarling dog, however, can represent a friendship that has turned sour, or it can be a warning that your own instincts, long neglected or betrayed, are beginning to turn on you. The wolf, by contrast, is the wild, untamed spirit of this same energy. It is fiercely independent, deeply connected to its pack, and it represents a part of you that refuses to be domesticated. To dream of a wolf can be a call to reclaim your wildness, to trust your gut feelings more deeply, or to examine your relationship with your own pack, your family or community. The wolf asks you, have you honored the wild, untamable part of your own soul? Or have you tried to chain it in the backyard of your consciousness? Then there are the creatures of the air. To dream of a bird is to connect with the realm of thought, spirit, and freedom. A bird in a cage can be a powerful symbol of your own feeling of being trapped, your spirit longing for liberation. To see a bird soaring high above is an invitation from your subconscious to rise above your problems, to gain a higher perspective and see the bigger picture you have been missing. The eagle holds a place of special reverence in the dream world. It is the king of birds, a symbol of immense power, courage, and spiritual vision. To dream of an eagle is often a sign of a direct communication from your highest self or from the divine. It is a messenger that tells you to be bold, to trust your vision, and to connect with the great spirit of life itself. The meaning of these encounters is radically altered by the animal's behavior. If an animal is attacking you, it is a sign that the instinct it represents has been starved, ignored, or repressed for too long, and it is now fighting for its survival, for your attention. Your own inner wildness is lashing out. If the animal is helping you, guiding you, or showing you a path, it is a sign that you are in harmony with this aspect of yourself. It is acting as a true ally, a spirit guide. And if an animal speaks to you in a dream, this is an event of profound significance. The primal, non-verbal part of your psyche is breaking through into conscious language. Listen to what it says. The message, no matter how strange, is a piece of pure wisdom rising from the deepest part of your being. Many indigenous cultures, particularly those of the Americas, have a deep understanding of this relationship, embodied in the concept of the spirit animal or totem. They know that we do not just live alongside animals in the outer world, but that their spirits live within us. In these traditions, a young person might go on a vision quest, fasting and praying in the wilderness to discover their personal medicine, their guide. In their journey, an animal will appear in a dream or a vision. A bear might come and teach them about the power of introspection and healing. A fox might appear, imparting the wisdom of cleverness and adaptability. This animal becomes a lifelong companion, a source of strength and wisdom that the person can call upon in times of need. It becomes a part of their identity. When you have a recurring dream of a specific animal, do not dismiss it. You may be in the midst of your own modern-day vision quest. Your soul may be trying to introduce you to your own spirit animal. That recurring wolf, or snake, or eagle is not a random image. It is a guide knocking on the door of your consciousness. It is trying to bring you its medicine, the specific quality of strength or wisdom that you need most at this point in your life. These animal encounters are a sacred bridge back to the wild, instinctual wisdom that our modern, logical world has tried so hard to forget. They are a call to honor the creaturely soul within, and to remember that we are never truly alone, for we have powerful, ancient allies living in the wilderness of our own hearts. After journeying through the primal landscapes of the animal kingdom, we now ascend, leaving the ground behind entirely, into one of the most exhilarating and cherished experiences the dream world has to offer, the ecstasy of flight. Unlike the terrifying, involuntary plunge of the falling dream, the dream of flight is most often an act of will, a conscious decision to defy gravity. It often begins with a single, powerful leap, a bound that lingers in the air just a moment too long. In that magical, suspended moment, you realize that you do not have to come down. With a push of intention, a feeling more than a physical act, you rise. The world shrinks below you, the wind catches you, and you are soaring, free. There are few dream experiences that rival this feeling of pure, unadulterated joy. It is liberation made manifest, a taste of omnipotence, a direct experience of the soul's boundless nature. At its core, the dream of flight is a powerful symbol of freedom and empowerment. It is your subconscious mind's way of celebrating your liberation from something that has been holding you down in your waking life. Have you recently left a restrictive job, ended a toxic relationship, or overcome a long-standing fear. Your flight dream is your victory lap. You are literally rising above the circumstances that once confined you. This dream also signifies a surge in your own sense of personal power and confidence. You feel capable, competent, and in control of your own destiny. You believe in your ability to navigate your life and to manifest your desires. And so, in your dreams, you are granted the ultimate power, the power to move through the world without obstacle or limitation. Beyond personal power, flying grants you the gift of a higher perspective. When you are on the ground, life can feel like a tangled maze of streets, a confusing labyrinth with no clear path. But when you soar above it, the maze reveals its pattern. The obstacles that seemed so monumental from below are reduced to mere specks on a larger map. This dream is a powerful message from your higher self, inviting you to step back from the drama and complexity of your problems and see them from a place of greater wisdom and clarity. It asks you, are you looking at this problem from the ground? Or are you willing to see it from the soul's point of view? However, the dream of flight is not always so effortless. The struggles we have in these dreams are just as symbolic as the successes. Perhaps you try to fly, but you cannot seem to get off the ground. You run, you leap, but your feet remain stubbornly bound to the earth. This points to a deeply held limiting belief or a lack of self-confidence that is anchoring you. There is a part of you that wants to soar, but another part, a fearful, doubtful part, is holding you back. You have the desire for freedom, but you do not yet truly believe you are worthy of it. Or maybe you manage to get airborne, but you can only fly low to the ground, skimming over the pavement, constantly having to push off with your hands and feet to stay aloft. This suggests that you have achieved a certain degree of freedom, but you are still tethered to old habits, earthly concerns, or responsibilities that prevent you from reaching your full potential. And very commonly, people dream of flying directly into obstacles like power lines or telephone wires. These wires are a perfect symbol for the structured, man-made systems of society, or for your own rigid belief systems. To fly into them means your personal quest for freedom is coming into direct conflict with these established networks, either in the external world or within your own mind. Now, we must elevate our own perspective and consider a more profound, more mystical possibility. What if the dream of flight is not merely a metaphor? What if it is an experience? Many spiritual traditions and modern explorers of consciousness believe that the dream of flight is often a precursor to, or a form of, astral projection or an out-of-body experience. The sensations are remarkably similar: the feeling of separating from the physical body, of becoming pure consciousness, of moving through space with the speed of thought. The dream could be your spirit body practicing, learning to navigate in a non-physical realm. It might be your consciousness, remembering its true, unbound nature, temporarily freed from the dense gravity of the physical form. In these moments of ecstatic flight, you are not just dreaming of freedom, you are having a direct experience of the soul's natural state, which is one of infinite, untethered possibility. There is no more perfect allegory for this process than the humble caterpillar's journey to becoming a butterfly. The caterpillar spends its life on the ground, inching its way along a leaf, confined to a two-dimensional world. Its reality is the earth, the stem, the leaf. It has no concept of the sky. It cannot imagine a different way of being. This is us, in our ordinary, ground-level consciousness. Then, an inner impulse, a mysterious calling, forces the caterpillar into the darkness of the chrysalis. It dissolves itself into a kind of living soup. From the outside, it looks like death. It is a period of darkness, confusion, and complete surrender. This is our own dark night of the soul, the moments when we must let go of who we think we are to allow a greater transformation to occur. And then, the miracle. From that cellular dissolution, something entirely new emerges. It breaks free from the confines of its old reality, and for the first time, it feels the air on its wings. It was never an improved caterpillar, it was always a butterfly in potential. The wings, the gift of flight, were not added on. They were encoded within it from the very beginning, waiting for the right moment of transformation. Your dream of flight is the butterfly within you, reminding you of your own wings. It is a message from the deepest part of your being that you were not born to only crawl. You were born to soar. It may feel like a fantasy, a fleeting moment of impossible joy, but it is also a promise. It is a glimpse into your truest nature, a memory of your soul's origin and its ultimate destiny. It is a sacred reminder that the limitations you perceive in your waking life are temporary, like the chrysalis, and that within you, right now, lies the dormant, magnificent potential for ecstatic, boundless flight. In the ecstasy of the flight dream, we taste a profound freedom, a soaring liberation from the laws of the waking world. For most, this experience is a beautiful, fleeting gift, a passive ride on the winds of the subconscious. But what if you could do more than just ride the wind? What if you could learn to command it? What if, in the middle of soaring over mountains or plunging into the sea, a switch could flip in your mind, and a single, electrifying thought could arise? This is a dream. That moment of recognition, that dawning of awareness within the dream state itself, is the key to unlocking an entirely new dimension of consciousness. This is the gateway to lucid dreaming, the art of becoming the conscious creator of your own inner worlds. A lucid dream, quite simply, is any dream in which you know that you are dreaming. And that simple knowledge changes everything. You are no longer merely an actor reading lines in a play written by your subconscious. You have suddenly become the director, the screenwriter, and the star, all at once. For many, this sounds like a rare, accidental gift, but lucidity is a skill that can be cultivated. It begins with intention. The first and most crucial step is to simply believe it's possible and to value your dream life. Re-engaging with your dream journal is paramount, not just to record, but to train your mind to pay attention. The more attention you give your dreams when you are awake, the more attention your awareness will bring to your dreams when you are asleep. The next, and most famous technique, is the practice of reality checks. You train yourself, throughout your waking day, to pause and genuinely question your reality. Look at your hands. Are they normal? Do they have 5 fingers? In the strange logic of dreams, hands are often distorted, blurry, or have the wrong number of digits. Another check is to push the fingers of one hand against the palm of the other. In waking life, they will meet with solid resistance. In a dream, your fingers may just melt right through. Or try reading a line of text on a sign or a clock. Look away, and then look back. In the fluid, unstable world of a dream, the text or numbers will almost certainly have changed. By making these checks a consistent, conscious habit during the day, you build a reflexive action that will eventually trigger inside a dream. The moment your finger passes through your palm and you think, "That's not right," lucidity dawns. Once you become lucid, a universe of possibility opens up. This is not just a playground for fantasy. It is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth and healing imaginable. Consider the recurring nightmare. Instead of running from the terrifying monster that chases you, in a lucid dream you can stop. You can turn to face it, and because you know you are safe, you can ask it, "What do you represent? What do you want from me?" You might find the terrifying creature transforms into a sad, neglected part of yourself that simply wants to be seen. You can heal your deepest fears by facing them with conscious compassion. You can also use the lucid state for skill rehearsal. Musicians can practice complex pieces, athletes can visualize a perfect performance, and those with social anxiety can practice public speaking to a dream audience that they control. The brain patterns activated during these dream rehearsals are remarkably similar to those in real life, building confidence and muscle memory. On a deeper level, lucid dreaming can be used to heal trauma, allowing a person to revisit a painful memory within the safe container of a dream and consciously create a new, more empowering outcome, rewriting the emotional charge of the past. To grasp the shift in consciousness that occurs, imagine a character in a vast, open-world video game. For years, this character has simply followed its programming. It wakes up in the same village, it follows the same quest markers, it fights the same monsters, all according to the game's code. It experiences victories and defeats, but it never questions the fundamental nature of its reality. Then, one day, perhaps through a glitch or a moment of unexpected insight, the character looks up at the digital sky and realizes, "This is a game. These mountains have no real substance. These rules are not absolute laws. I am made of code." In that instant, the character is no longer just a passive participant. It has become self-aware. It can start to experiment. Can it walk through walls? Can it fly? Can it access the game's command console? This is precisely the transformation from a normal dreamer to a lucid dreamer. You wake up to the fact that the reality you are in is a construct of consciousness, and that you, as the resident consciousness, have an incredible degree of influence over it. This leads us to the most profound philosophical implication of this practice. Lucid dreaming is not just about learning to wake up in your dreams at night. It is training for learning to wake up in your life during the day. The same mechanisms are at play. In our waking lives, how often are we running on autopilot, controlled by old programming, reacting to situations based on ingrained habits and unconscious fears? We are like the non-lucid dreamer, an actor in a play we don't realize we are co-writing. The practice of lucid dreaming, of stopping and asking, "Am I dreaming right now?" trains the mind to be more present, more aware, more questioning of its own assumptions. It fosters a state of lucid living. It's the moment in an argument when you can suddenly see your own reactive pattern playing out. It's the moment you can catch a limiting belief as it arises, and consciously choose a different one. The ultimate goal is not to escape into a fantasy world at night, but to bring the power, the creativity, and the conscious awareness of the lucid dream back into this world. It is the ultimate laboratory for understanding that you are not a victim of your reality, but its co-creator. You are the dreamer, and this magnificent, challenging, beautiful life is your dream. In the boundless realm of the lucid dream, we learn that our consciousness is not a passive observer, but an active participant, capable of shaping its own reality. We learn to bend the rules of physics, to fly, to create. This discovery naturally leads to a deeper, more profound question. If the boundaries of space and matter can become fluid in our dreams, is it possible that the boundary of time itself is also permeable? This question ushers us into one of the most mysterious, controversial, and awe-inspiring territories of human experience. The world of precognitive dreams, those fleeting, powerful glimpses into what is yet to come. These are the dreams that seem to whisper of tomorrow, today. Before we proceed, we must navigate this terrain with care and discernment. The human mind is a master of finding patterns, and sometimes, what seems like a prediction is merely a coincidence, a random alignment between a dream image and a later event. At other times, a seemingly prophetic dream is the work of our own brilliant, subconscious mind doing what it does best, collecting and analyzing data far below the threshold of our awareness. You might dream of your car breaking down, and a week later, it does. This may not be a glimpse of the future, but your sleeping mind having pieced together the subtle clues you consciously ignored. The faint rattling sound, the slight hesitation in the engine. It was not a prophecy, it was a brilliant diagnosis. But having acknowledged this, we are still left with a core set of experiences, from throughout history and across all cultures, that defy these simple explanations. Dreams that contain specific, unknowable details of a future event. History is haunted by such stories. One of the most famous is that of Abraham Lincoln. Just days before his assassination, he recounted a dream to his wife and a close friend. A dream that left him with a deep sense of melancholy. In the dream, he was wandering through the White House, hearing the sound of soft weeping from a distant room. He followed the sound until he entered the East Room. There, he saw a coffin resting on a platform, guarded by soldiers and surrounded by a crowd of mourners. When he asked one of the soldiers who had died in the White House, the soldier replied, "The president. He was killed by an assassin." Lincoln woke with a profound sense of dread, having dreamt a chillingly accurate rehearsal of his own funeral before the event had even occurred. This is not just an isolated phenomenon affecting famous individuals. There are collective instances, too. The tragic maiden voyage of the Titanic in 1912 is a powerful example. After the ship sank, researchers and journalists collected hundreds of accounts of people who had experienced premonitions, many in the form of vivid, terrifying dreams. There were stories of people who canceled their tickets at the last minute, forfeiting huge sums of money, because they were haunted by recurring dreams of a colossal ship cracking in half and sinking into icy water. One man, a British businessman, dreamt with such vividness of the ship sinking that he not only canceled his trip but tried to prevent his friends from going. These people had no logical reason to fear. The Titanic was hailed as unsinkable, a masterpiece of modern engineering. Yet, their dreaming minds seemed to have accessed a truth that was utterly unavailable to their waking consciousness. A glimpse of the impending catastrophe. How can this possibly happen? How can the mind access an event that has not yet occurred in linear time? While we have no definitive scientific proof, spiritual philosophy offers us several profound possibilities. One concept is that our perception of time as a straight line, a sequence of past, present, and future, is a limitation of our three-dimensional human consciousness. From a higher, multi-dimensional perspective, time may not be linear at all. All moments, past, present, and future, might exist simultaneously, woven together in the great tapestry of eternity. Imagine a song pressed onto a vinyl record. Our conscious mind is like the needle, experiencing the song one note at a time, sequentially. But the entire song, from beginning to end, already exists on the record. A precognitive dream could be a moment where our consciousness, the needle, momentarily lifts off its groove and touches down on a different part of the record, experiencing a piece of the future before its time. Another beautiful and ancient concept is that of the Akashic records. In esoteric thought, the Akasha is a universal field of energy, a cosmic library that contains a perfect record of everything that has ever happened, is happening, and will happen. It is the universe's memory. In this view, a precognitive dream is an experience where our individual consciousness gains temporary library access. Our soul, freed from the constraints of the body during sleep, wanders into this cosmic library and reads a page from a book about the future. Finally, a more grounded, yet still mystical explanation is that of an extraordinarily heightened intuition. Our intuition is a non-linear, holistic intelligence. In the quiet of the dream state, freed from the endless chatter of the logical mind, this intuitive faculty can become incredibly powerful, capable of perceiving energetic patterns and probabilities with a clarity that seems supernatural to our waking selves. While we cannot force these dreams to happen, we can learn to recognize them. Unlike the bizarre, symbolic language of most dreams, precognitive dreams often have a very different quality. They are frequently reported as being incredibly vivid and clear, almost hyper-realistic, as if you are watching a high-definition film. They also leave an undeniable emotional signature. You wake up with a feeling of certainty, a sense of dread, or a profound peace that lingers with you, a feeling far more intense than a typical dream residue. And most importantly, they often contain small, specific, and verifiable details that you had no possible way of knowing beforehand. The purpose of these dreams may not be to allow us to change the future, but to prepare us for it, to reassure us that there is a dimension of our consciousness that is not bound by the limitations we perceive. They are a humbling, awe-inspiring hint that the soul's vision is far wider than the ego's, and that it may already know the entire path of the journey we are on, one step at a time. We have seen how the dreaming mind can seem to transcend the known laws of space, and even the linear progression of time. We now arrive at the most sacred, the most tender, and for many, the most life-altering of all dream experiences. We approach the boundary between the living and the dead. This is the realm of the visitation dream, the experience of being visited in your sleep by a loved one who has passed from this world. For anyone who has had such a dream, you know it is unlike any other. It can be a source of profound comfort, deep confusion, and lingering questions. It is a topic that deserves to be handled with the utmost gentleness and respect, for it touches upon the deepest love and the deepest grief the human heart can know. The first, most crucial step in understanding these dreams is to learn the difference between a dream of the dead and a dream from the dead. They are not the same. When we are processing the pain of loss, our minds will often generate what are known as grief dreams. These are the mind's valiant attempt to sort through the trauma and make sense of the absence. Grief dreams are often chaotic, disjointed, and heavy. They may replay the circumstances of the death, or place our loved one in confusing, anxious scenarios. We might wake from these dreams feeling a deep sadness, a sense of unresolved pain, the weight of our loss as heavy as it was in our waking hours. This is a normal, healthy, and necessary part of the grieving process. It is our own psyche doing its healing work. A true visitation dream, however, has a completely different quality. It feels less like a dream and more like a real event. The atmosphere is the first clue. The dream is typically not chaotic, but is instead permeated by a sense of profound, luminous peace. There is an unmistakable feeling of love that fills the air. The second, and perhaps most significant clue, is the appearance of your loved one. Regardless of how they were at the end of their life, in a visitation dream, they almost always appear healthy, whole, and vibrant. They are in the prime of their life, radiant with well-being. There is no sign of sickness, age, or injury. They are presented to you in their perfect, eternal state, free from the suffering of their physical form. The communication in these dreams is also unique. Often, very few words are spoken. The exchange is telepathic, a direct heart-to-heart or mind-to-mind transmission of feeling and thought. You simply know what they are trying to tell you. And the message is almost universally consistent across countless thousands of accounts. It is a message of comfort. They come to deliver a few, simple, powerful truths. I am okay. I am at peace now. Please, don't worry about me. I love you. And sometimes, they offer a specific piece of loving guidance for the dreamer's life. The purpose of their visit is never to cause more pain, but to alleviate it. They come to bring closure, to offer forgiveness, and to reassure you that the bond of love you share has not been broken by death. And finally, there is the feeling upon waking. Instead of the sorrow of a grief dream, you awaken from a visitation with a sense of calm, of peace, and an unshakable certainty that what you experienced was real. The tears you cry are not tears of sadness, but tears of gratitude and relief. This feeling does not fade quickly. It can stay with you for days, weeks, even years, fundamentally changing your relationship with death and grief. Imagine a woman, we'll call her Clara, whose husband died suddenly after they had a foolish argument over something trivial. She is consumed by guilt and unresolved grief, endlessly replaying their last, harsh words in her mind. Her sleep is filled with anxious grief dreams, chaotic replays of the argument, her husband turning away from her in anger. The dreams only deepen her sorrow. Then, one night, everything changes. She dreams she is sitting in a beautiful, light-filled garden. Her husband walks towards her, not as the middle-aged man who passed, but as the vibrant, smiling young man she first fell in love with. He sits beside her, takes her hand, and says nothing. He simply looks at her, and his eyes pour a feeling of unconditional love and forgiveness directly into her heart. In that silent gaze, she knows, with absolute certainty, that the argument meant nothing, that he loved her, and that he was at peace. The message is simple and clear. It's all okay. I love you. Now, go live your life. Clara wakes up, and for the first time in months, the heavy, crushing weight on her chest is gone. The encounter was a gift, a moment of grace that allowed her soul to finally release its burden and begin to heal. The psychological perspective might view this beautiful experience as a powerful and sophisticated coping mechanism, a self-created gift from the grieving mind to itself to facilitate healing. And perhaps, in some cases, it is. But the spiritual perspective offers a different truth. It suggests that consciousness is not extinguished at death, and that love is the energetic frequency that bridges the worlds. In the open, receptive state of a dream, our own consciousness, freed from the rigid skepticism of the waking mind, is able to tune into that frequency. The dream state becomes a sacred meeting ground, a visiting room where those on the other side can reach through the veil to offer us the comfort and closure we so desperately need. Whether you see it as a gift from your own psyche or a gift from a soul beyond, the result is the same. These dreams are acts of profound love, testaments to the fact that the bonds of the heart are not bound by the laws of life and death, and a blessed reassurance that we are, and always will be, connected. The visitation dream leaves us with a profound and comforting truth, that the bonds of love and consciousness can seemingly reach across the veil of death. This naturally leads us to a tantalizing and mind-altering question. If consciousness can exist and communicate after the body has passed, does that mean it can leave the body, even temporarily, while we are still very much alive? This question takes us to the furthest frontiers of dream exploration, to the razor's edge, where lucid dreaming evolves into something even more extraordinary. We now enter the world of the out-of-body experience, of astral projection and soul travel. This is the journey of experiencing your own consciousness as a tangible, mobile reality, completely independent of your physical form. Let us be clear about the distinction. In a lucid dream, you become aware that you are inside a dream world, a landscape created by your mind. In an out-of-body experience, or OB, you become aware that you are outside of your physical body, often perceiving the real, physical world. The classic experience is one of suddenly finding yourself floating near the ceiling of your bedroom, looking down with a strange sense of detachment at your own body, sleeping peacefully in your bed. This is not a dream about your bedroom. It feels like a direct, real-time perception of it. The shift is from being the conscious director of a dream to being a liberated consciousness exploring reality without a body. For many, this experience happens spontaneously, and the pathway often begins in the territory we have already explored. A great number of OBEs launch directly from a lucid dream. A dreamer might become lucid and, with the focused intention of leaving the dreamscape, find themselves passing through a kind of energetic membrane, leaving the dream behind and emerging into a perfect replica of their physical surroundings. But perhaps the most common gateway is a specific and often alarming physiological state known as the vibrational state. This typically occurs in the borderland of consciousness, that twilight state just before you fall asleep or just as you are waking up. It begins as a subtle hum or buzzing, which can rapidly escalate into an intense, full-body vibration. It can feel like a powerful electrical current is coursing through you, often accompanied by loud roaring, whining, or rushing sounds. For the uninitiated, this experience can be terrifying, and their fear often short-circuits the process. But for seasoned explorers of consciousness, these vibrations are a welcome and unmistakable sign. They are the engine turning over. It is the moment the energy body, or astral body, is loosening its grip, preparing to separate from the physical shell. It is here that we encounter an ancient and reassuring piece of esoteric lore, the concept of the silver cord. Mystics and astral travelers throughout the ages have described seeing a luminous, vibrant, and incredibly elastic cord of light connecting their projected consciousness to their physical body. This cord, sometimes seen emerging from the forehead or the solar plexus, is the unbreakable energetic link that ensures you are always connected to your physical form and can always return. No matter how far you travel, no matter what realms you explore, this silver cord is your lifeline, your tether to the physical plane. The knowledge of this cord removes the greatest fear associated with these states, the fear of getting lost or being unable to return. The soul knows its way home. The narratives of the great pioneers in this field, like Robert Monroe, provide a map of a typical journey. It often begins with the shock of the initial, spontaneous separation. There is a moment of disorientation, followed by the profoundly strange sight of one's own body. The first attempts at movement can be clumsy, as one learns to navigate by will and intention rather than by muscle. But fear soon gives way to an exhilarating sense of freedom. You discover you can pass through walls, fly through the city at the speed of thought, or simply hang, suspended in space, observing the world from a completely new vantage point. With practice, the traveler learns to move beyond the physical plane entirely, journeying to other non-physical realms, dimensions of pure thought, light, and sound, and sometimes encountering other non-corporeal entities, be they guides, teachers, or other travelers. But what is the purpose of such a journey? It is not mere psychic tourism. The ultimate goal of astral projection is to gain direct, personal, and undeniable knowledge of the greatest spiritual truth. That you are not your body. You are not your name. You are not your job. You are an immortal, magnificent point of consciousness, temporarily inhabiting a physical vehicle to learn and grow. To have this experience, just once, is to have the fear of death either completely extinguished or radically diminished. Death is no longer a terrifying cessation of being. It is merely a transition, a permanent letting go of the physical body, an act you have already practiced. This single, experiential realization can fundamentally reorient your entire life. It infuses your waking world with a sense of purpose, a lack of fear, and a deep understanding that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. It is the ultimate answer to the question, what happens when we die? Delivered not as a belief, but as a memory of your own journey beyond the flesh. This is the pinnacle of dream state exploration, a journey to the very core of your being, to find out what you truly are when all else is stripped away. We have journeyed to the furthest shores of consciousness, exploring the transcendent realms of lucid dreaming, precognition, and even soul travel. These experiences, while profound, can feel rare and distant. But now, we return from these extraordinary heights to your own bedside, to the quiet moments just after you awaken. For it is here that the great work truly begins. It is not enough to be an explorer, you must also become the cartographer of your inner worlds. To do this, you require the single most essential, most powerful, and most accessible tool in your entire spiritual toolkit. It is not a crystal, it is not an oracle deck, it is a simple notebook and pen. We are talking about the sacred and indispensable practice of keeping a dream journal. How many times have you woken from a dream that was breathtakingly vivid, a complete, multi-sensory epic, only to have it evaporate like mist in the morning sun? You try to grasp at the details, but they are like smoke, slipping through your fingers. Within minutes, all that remains is a faint emotional residue and the frustrating knowledge that something significant has been lost. Dreams are ephemeral by nature. They are written in a disappearing ink that fades upon contact with the harsh light of your analytical, waking mind. A dream journal is the act of catching that disappearing message before it vanishes. It is the practice of honoring these nightly communications with your attention, and in doing so, you perform a kind of magic. The act of keeping a dream journal is not a passive recording of events. It is a powerful statement of intention. It is a message you send deep into your own subconscious, a signal to the universe itself that says, I am listening. What you have to say is valuable to me. I am ready to receive it. When you begin this practice consistently, you will almost certainly notice a change. Your dream recall will improve dramatically. Your dreams may become more vivid, more coherent, and more meaningful. It is as if the dreaming mind, long accustomed to shouting into an empty room, suddenly realizes someone is on the other end of the line, taking notes, and it begins to speak more clearly. You are opening a dialogue with the deepest, wisest part of yourself. The practice itself is simple. First, place your chosen tool, be it a notebook or a voice recorder, on your phone within arm's reach of your bed. The key is to write or speak the moment you awaken, while you are still in that liminal state, that magical bridge between worlds. Do not get up. Do not check your notifications. Do not even think about your to-do list for the day. That can wait. The dream cannot. Stay in the posture of sleep and allow the fragments to drift back to you. When you write, don't worry about grammar or making sense. Your initial goal is not to be a literary critic, but a faithful scribe. Capture everything you can. Give the dream a title that captures its essence. Write down the narrative, the plot points, who was there, and what happened. Most importantly, record your feelings. Were you scared, joyful, anxious, at peace? The emotion is the energetic key to the dream's meaning. Note any striking symbols, recurring colors, strange objects, or specific words that were spoken. Then, once you have captured the raw data of the dream itself, you can add a small note about what is happening in your waking life right now. This context is crucial. Think of your dream journal as your own personal Rosetta Stone. The original Rosetta Stone was the artifact that allowed scholars to finally decipher Egyptian hieroglyphs, a language that had been lost for centuries. It did so because it contained the same passage written in 3 scripts. The mysterious hieroglyphs, a more common script called Demotic, and ancient Greek, which the scholars could already read. By comparing the unknown to the known, they cracked the code. Your dream journal functions in exactly the same way. The strange, symbolic images of your dream, the falling teeth, the flying, the talking animals, these are your personal hieroglyphs. The second script, the known language, is the emotion you record. Fear, love, joy, and anxiety are universal feelings you understand intimately. And the third script, the bridge between the two, is the context of your waking life that you note down. By looking at these 3 things together, you can begin to translate. You can see that the hieroglyph of the endless chase consistently appears next to the feeling of anxiety during weeks when you are avoiding a major deadline at work. Suddenly, the code begins to break. You are learning the unique, symbolic language of your own soul. The true magic of the journal is revealed over time. A single dream entry can be insightful, but a collection of 50 entries is a revelation. As you read back through your journal, after a few weeks or months, patterns will leap off the page. You will see the recurring symbols, the repeated emotional landscapes, the undeniable connections between your inner world and your outer experiences. The journal becomes a living map of your own psyche, showing you where you have been, where you are stuck, and where your soul is trying to lead you. It is the most honest and insightful spiritual guide you will ever have, because it is written by you, for you. So, I invite you, tonight, to begin this practice. Place a notebook by your bed. See it not as a chore, but as the logbook for the greatest adventure of all, the systematic exploration of your own infinite, inner universe. With your dream journal in hand, you have now become the faithful scribe, the sacred archivist of your own inner journeys. You have learned to catch the ephemeral whispers of the night before they dissolve in the morning light. But to be a scribe is only the first step. The next is to become the translator. You have a book filled with the strange and beautiful hieroglyphs of your own soul. And now, we will learn how to read them. This is the moment where we move beyond generic interpretations and into the heart of your own unique symbolic language. It is the moment we respectfully close the cover on the one-size-fits-all dream dictionary. Let us be clear, those dictionaries that you can buy in bookstores or find online, assigning a single, fixed meaning to a symbol can be a source of amusement. But they are a deeply flawed tool for any real inner work. They are like a generic tourist phrase book trying to guide you through a city that only exists in your mind, a city built from the bricks of your own memories, emotions, and experiences. To be told that a house always means the self, or a snake always means betrayal, is to ignore the rich, personal tapestry of your own life. The symbol is not the meaning, it is merely the vessel. The meaning is what you pour into it. The most important rule of dream interpretation is this: you are the ultimate authority on your own dreams. The dream is a message from you to you. It would not be written in a language you could not, with effort, understand. The true work of decoding begins with a simple, meditative practice of personal association. When you have a striking symbol from a dream, a bridge, a key, an apple, a tree, isolated in your mind, hold the image and gently ask yourself a series of open-ended questions. What does a bridge mean to me? What are my first thoughts, my first feelings, my first memories associated with a bridge? Let your mind wander. For an engineer, a dream of a bridge might be a symbol of elegant design, of strength and connection, a message about a creative solution to a problem. But for someone with a crippling fear of heights, a dream of a rickety, swaying bridge might be a terrifying symbol of a risky life transition they feel forced to make. For someone who grew up in a city with a famous bridge, it might evoke powerful feelings of nostalgia, of home, of their own past. Do you see? The same symbol can hold radically different meanings, all of them true, all of them personal. The dream dictionary, with its single, sterile definition, would have failed all three of these people. We must also attune our ears to the clever, and often humorous, nature of the dreaming mind. Your subconscious is a master of wordplay, a lover of puns. Sometimes, the meaning of a symbol is hidden in plain sight, in a literal interpretation of a common phrase or a play on words. You might dream you are literally up against a wall in your dream, a direct translation of your feeling of frustration in a waking life project. You might dream that someone hands you a frozen, literal, cold shoulder of meat, a message about your feeling of being rejected by that person. An aspiring writer, stuck on a project, might dream of searching for a beautiful, rare flower, when what their subconscious is playfully pointing to is their need for better prose or flower, the creative substance of their work. Always ask yourself, is there a pun here? Is there a literal meaning I am overlooking? The dreaming mind has a poet's soul, and it loves to play with language. The final act of translation is synthesis. It is the work of a detective. You have gathered all your clues. You have the symbol itself, the hieroglyph from your journal. You have your personal association with that symbol. You have the powerful emotional tone of the dream, the feeling it left you with. And you have the context of your waking life, the real-world situations you are currently navigating. Now, you lay all these clues out on the table together and look for the connections. The meaning is not in any one clue, but in the convergence of all of them. The story emerges from how they all fit together. Consider a simple parable. Two people, on the same night, dream of a magnificent lion. The first person is a timid office worker who feels invisible and unheard in his daily life. He dreams that a powerful, calm lion appears and walks faithfully by his side. He feels no fear, only a surge of courage and quiet authority. He wakes up feeling empowered. For him, the lion is a clear symbol of his own dormant strength, his inner king, the part of him that he needs to integrate to become more assertive and confident. The second person is a woman who, as a small child, was terrified by a lion at the circus. She dreams a lion is stalking her through the halls of her childhood home. She feels a familiar, heart-pounding terror. For her, the lion is a symbol of a deep-seated fear, a childhood trauma that is still pursuing her in her adult life, a predator that lives within the very walls of her own past. A dream dictionary would tell both of them that a lion means courage and strength, which would be helpful for the man. but utterly misleading and even damaging for the woman. This is why you must become your own master interpreter. Your life, your memories, your heart, these are the only dictionary that matters. The symbols of your dreams are not a foreign language. They are your native tongue, a mother tongue you have simply forgotten how to speak. The practice of dream journaling and personal association is your journey home. The process of remembering the beautiful, secret language of your own soul. Now that you have become both the scribe and the translator of your own dream language, you are ready to take the next, profound step in this journey. You are ready to move from being a passive interpreter of messages to an active participant in a conversation. If you now understand the language of your subconscious, why not ask it a question? This is the art and science of dream incubation, the practice of intentionally seeding your consciousness with a specific question before you sleep, and inviting the dreaming mind to provide an answer. This is not some modern, New Age technique. It is one of the most ancient forms of spiritual guidance known to humanity. Millennia ago, in the serene landscapes of ancient Greece, a traveler who was sick in body or troubled in spirit would make a pilgrimage to a place of healing. These were the temples of Asclepius, the god of medicine. These sites, known as Asclepians, were the world's first sleep clinics, but they were also sacred spaces. Upon arriving, the seeker would perform rituals of purification, bathing in sacred waters, and making offerings. Then, they would formulate their plea for guidance or healing, and enter a special, consecrated chamber to sleep. This act of sleeping in the temple was called incubation. They went to sleep with a clear and powerful intention, to receive a dream from the god, a dream that would reveal the cure for their illness or the solution to their problem. For centuries, people received profound, life-altering guidance in this way. They understood what we are just now beginning to remember, that the state of sleep is not an absence of consciousness, but a doorway to a different, and often wiser, form of it. You do not need a stone temple to practice this sacred art. Your own bedroom can become your temple, your own pillow your altar. The ritual is simple, personal, and powerful. It begins with the formulation of your question. Your dreaming mind responds best to clarity. A vague, wandering question will often yield a vague and wandering dream. So, take some time to distill your problem into a single, focused question. Not what should I do with my life, but perhaps, show me the next step on my true career path. Not, why am I unhappy, but what is the primary obstacle to my joy that I am ready to face now? A question about a specific choice is excellent. Should I accept this new job offer? Or, is this relationship truly for my highest good? Once you have your question, the ritual begins. Write it down on a piece of paper. The physical act of writing solidifies your intention, moving it from the abstract realm of thought into the concrete world of form. You can place this paper beside your bed or even under your pillow. Then, for 5 to 10 minutes before you sleep, hold this question gently in your mind. This is not a time for anxious problem solving. Do not try to logically figure out the answer. Your conscious mind has already tried and failed. That is why you are asking for deeper guidance. Instead, simply hold the question as you would hold a precious seed in your hand, feeling its weight, its potential, its form. Meditate on the question itself, not on the possible answers. Finally, as you feel yourself drifting towards sleep, state your intention, your formal request to your own inner wisdom. You can say it aloud or in your mind. A simple phrase is best. Tonight, I ask for a dream that will bring me clarity on this question. Or, I invite my wisest self to send me a message I can understand. Then, let it go. Release the question, trust that you have been heard, and surrender to sleep. It is crucial to manage your expectations about the nature of the answer. Your subconscious rarely speaks in spreadsheets and bullet points. The answer you receive may not be a literal, straightforward instruction. If you ask about a new job, you are unlikely to dream of your new desk and your new boss shaking your hand. Instead, your dreaming mind will communicate the emotional truth of the situation. You might dream you are climbing a mountain with ease, the sun on your face and a feeling of exhilaration in your heart, a powerful symbolic yes. Or, you might dream you are trying to swim through thick, cold mud, a powerful symbolic no. The dream will give you the feeling of the choice, the energetic reality of the path ahead, which is often a far more accurate guide than a logical pros and cons list. History is filled with stories of this process yielding world-changing results. The German chemist August Kekulé had been struggling for months with a complex scientific problem: the structure of the benzene molecule. Every logical approach led to a dead end. He was consumed by the question. One evening, exhausted, he turned his chair to the fire and dozed off. He slipped into a reverie, a waking dream, his mind still holding the intention for an answer. He dreamed of atoms, long chains of them, twisting and turning like snakes. He watched, fascinated, as one of the snakes suddenly seized its own tail in its mouth, forming a spinning, closed ring. He awoke in a flash of insight. The structure was not a line, it was a closed loop. This single, symbolic image, delivered by his dreaming mind, was the key that unlocked the secrets of organic chemistry and revolutionized the modern world. This is the power that lies dormant within you every single night. Your sleep is not just a time for your body to rest. It is an opportunity for your soul to speak. You do not have to wait passively for guidance to arrive out of the blue. You can approach the oracle within you with respect, with a clear question, and with a listening heart. You can make an appointment with your own deepest wisdom. So tonight, consider what you will ask. Choose your question, perform your ritual, and place your journal by your bed, ready to receive the answer that is waiting for you in the sacred, silent temple of your own sleep. We have learned to listen to our dreams, to decode their symbols, and even to ask them for direct guidance. We have, in essence, opened a clear channel of communication to our deepest self. But a conversation is a two-way street. What happens when the voice of the dreaming mind begins to echo back to us, not in another dream, but in the startling, undeniable events of our waking lives? This is where the inner world and the outer world magically shake hands. This is the realm of synchronicity. The term was coined by the great psychologist Carl Jung to describe a phenomenon he observed constantly in his own life and the lives of his patients. A synchronicity is not just a random coincidence. It is a meaningful coincidence and a causal connecting principle. It is when an inner event, such as a thought, a feeling, or a dream, is mirrored by an external event in a way that feels so personally significant, so perfectly timed, that it strikes you with a bolt of awe and recognition. It is the universe winking at you. This is the bridge where your dreams begin to spill into your reality. Let's say you have been having powerful, recurring dreams about a blue butterfly, a symbol which you have come to understand represents your own desire for transformation and freedom. You are at a crossroads in your life, debating whether to make a major, life-altering change. You go for a walk in the park, your mind filled with this difficult decision, and at that exact moment, a rare blue butterfly flutters down and lands gently on your hand. Or you walk into a bookstore, and the first book you see has a brilliant blue butterfly on its cover. This is synchronicity. The universe is using the symbolic language of your own dream to confirm its message in the physical world. It is a resounding yes, an affirmation that your desire for transformation is aligned with the flow of life itself. These events often serve as a powerful confirmation for dreams that are difficult to accept or understand, particularly visitation dreams. You may wake from a dream of your deceased grandfather, a dream which felt profoundly real and comforting. But your logical mind begins to sow doubt, telling you it was just a product of your own grief. Later that day, feeling sad and confused, you turn on the radio, and the old, obscure song that was his absolute favorite begins to play. A jolt goes through you. It's a feeling beyond logic, a direct, heart-level communication that says, the dream was real, the connection is real, I am with you. The synchronicity acts as a validation, a tangible piece of evidence that helps your rational mind accept the truth your heart already knows. The great architect of this concept, Carl Jung, tells the most famous story of synchronicity in his writings. He was treating a patient who was deeply entrenched in a rational, logical worldview, making it very difficult for her to accept the wisdom of her own subconscious. One day, she was telling him about a powerful dream she'd had in which she was given a piece of jewelry in the shape of a golden scarab beetle. As she was describing the dream object in his office, Jung heard a gentle tapping sound against the window pane behind him. He turned, opened the window, and caught an insect as it flew into the room. It was a Cetonia aurata, a common rose chafer beetle, whose green-gold coloring makes it the closest European equivalent to a sacred scarab. Jung walked back to his patient and presented the beetle to her on his open palm. "Here," he said calmly, "is your scarab. The sheer impossibility of the event shattered the woman's rigid rationality, and from that moment on, her therapy transformed. The inner world had literally knocked on the window of the outer world, demanding to be taken seriously. Synchronicity is often the final chapter in the story of a recurring dream. A dream will haunt you, night after night, until you finally do the work. You record it. You decode its symbols. You understand its message. And most importantly, you take action on its guidance in your waking life. It is often at this point, when the inner lesson has been integrated into an outer action, that a powerful synchronistic event will occur. It is like a final nod of approval from the universe, a confirmation that you have successfully received and integrated the transmission. And then, the recurring dream stops. Its job is done. The message has been delivered, understood, and acted upon. To experience synchronicity is to begin to see the world not as a cold, random machine, but as an intelligent, responsive, and living consciousness. It requires a shift in your own awareness, a willingness to look for the connections, to see the personal meaning in the events of your life. It is not about forcing connections or becoming superstitious, but about cultivating a state of open, mindful attention. It is the understanding that the same intelligence that weaves the symbolic tapestries of your dreams at night is also weaving the events of your life during the day. There is a single, unified consciousness at play, and it is constantly trying to communicate with you. Synchronicity is the moment you happen to be looking, to be listening, when the inner and outer worlds align perfectly, revealing the beautiful, undeniable truth that you are a part of a conversation that is as vast as the cosmos and as intimate as your own heartbeat. As we learn to recognize the winks of synchronicity, we begin to understand that we are living in a responsive universe, a universe that is in constant dialogue with our inner state. This realization naturally leads us to a powerful and proactive question. If the universe is responding to us, how can we become more conscious in what we are asking for? This is where the world of dreams intersects with one of the most popular and potent spiritual principles of our time, the law of attraction. The law, in its essence, is simple: that which is like unto itself is drawn. Your thoughts, and more importantly, your feelings, create an energetic vibration, and you attract experiences that are a match to that vibration. In this framework, your dream life is not just a source of guidance. It is the most honest vibrational feedback system you will ever encounter. You may spend your waking hours repeating affirmations of abundance, trying to convince yourself that you are prosperous and successful. But at night, you have recurring dreams of lack, of losing your wallet, of coming up short. Your dreams are showing you your true, deep down, subconscious point of attraction. They are a brutally honest mirror to the vibration you are actually broadcasting into the universe, despite your best conscious efforts. The recurring anxiety dream is a diagnostic tool, showing you precisely why your waking life manifestations may be stalled. It reveals the energetic static, the limiting beliefs buried deep in your subconscious that are scrambling your signal. Your dreams show you the difference between what you say you want and what you, in your heart of hearts, believe you deserve. Once your dreams have shown you the blockages, they also offer you the ultimate workshop to clear them and rehearse a new reality. This is the power of using lucid dreaming as a manifestation engine. The core principle of attracting a new reality is to feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must embody the emotional state of having what you desire before it arrives. While waking visualization is powerful, a lucid dream is a full sensory, high-definition, immersive virtual reality simulation that you can control. It is visualization on an entirely new level. If you desire a new home, you can, in a lucid dream, consciously conjure that home. You can walk through its rooms, feel the texture of the walls, smell the scent of the air, and most importantly, you can flood your entire being with the overwhelming emotions of joy, gratitude, and security that come with living there. You are not just thinking about it, you are living it. You are being it. This experience attunes your entire energetic signature to the frequency of that reality, making you a powerful magnet for its physical manifestation. To understand this better, consider the techniques used by elite athletes. An Olympic diver does not only practice on the diving board. She spends countless hours in a state of deep visualization. She mentally rehearses every single detail of the perfect dive, the spring of the board, the arch of her back, the silent, clean entry into the water, the sight of a perfect score on the board. She feels the exhilaration, the triumph, the weight of the gold medal around her neck. She does this over and over, creating the neural pathways for success in her brain. What she is doing is programming her reality. Lucid dreaming is this exact process, but amplified 1,000 times. You are not just visualizing, you are fully experiencing. It is the most potent form of mental and emotional rehearsal imaginable. Perhaps the most crucial function of dreams in this process is in revealing the conflict between your conscious desires and your subconscious programming. Let's say you are trying to attract a loving, healthy relationship. Your conscious mind is focused on this goal, but you keep having recurring dreams of being abandoned, rejected, or betrayed. This is your subconscious, your dream guide, holding up a giant sign that says, "Here." This is the problem. You have a core belief that you are unworthy of love. And until you heal this, you will continue to attract experiences that validate this painful belief. The dream is not a curse predicting a lonely future. It is a compassionate diagnostic, pointing directly to the wound that needs your attention. It is only by turning to face this wound, by healing this core belief, that you can clear your energetic field and broadcast the pure, coherent signal of someone who is ready and worthy of true love. The work is always internal first. You must heal the dream of abandonment before you can manifest the reality of connection. Therefore, the dream world becomes your primary laboratory for co-creating your life. It is the place where you can diagnose your vibrational set point, identify the limiting beliefs that are holding you back, and then, through the power of lucid intention, you can begin to practice and embody a new reality. It is a sacred space where you can rewrite the old stories and rehearse your future successes. Your dreams are a conversation with the universe. They show you what you have been asking for with your deepest, most hidden beliefs. And they give you the power to consciously, deliberately, and joyfully begin asking for something new. We have explored the dream world as a workshop for manifesting our desires, a place to rehearse a brighter future. But what happens when the dream world becomes a house of horrors? What about the nightmares that leave us shaken, terrified, and dreading the very act of sleep? For most of us, a nightmare feels like an attack, a psychological assault from an unknown enemy. We see it as a sign of sickness, a malfunction in the system. But now, we must undertake one of the most profound and healing shifts in perspective possible. We must learn to see the nightmare, not as the illness, but as the cure. We must understand that a nightmare is often the sign of a psyche that is not broken, but is in the active, courageous process of healing itself. Consider what happens after a major traumatic event, a car accident, a sudden loss, a violent confrontation. It is incredibly common for the survivor to experience recurring nightmares that replay the event with terrifying precision. The conventional view is that this is a symptom of the trauma, a sign of being stuck. But the deeper truth is that this is the mind's own powerful, built-in form of therapy. It is attempting to metabolize the indigestible experience. In the dream state, your body is safe. You are not actually in the car crash again. The mind uses this safe environment to replay the memory, and each time it replays, it attempts to strip away a little bit of the overwhelming emotional charge, the terror, the helplessness. It is a process of desensitization, of slowly and carefully integrating the jagged, splintered memory into the whole of your life story, so that it no longer exists as a raw, electrified wound, but as a scar that you can live with. It is a painful process, but it is a process born of an incredible, resilient intelligence. To understand this, think of how the physical body heals a deep wound. The process is not pretty. There is inflammation, scabbing, itching, and pain. But these are all signs that the body's healing mechanisms are at work, fighting infection and knitting new tissue. Or consider the metaphor of a fever. When a virus invades your body, your internal intelligence raises your core temperature. The fever is deeply uncomfortable. It brings chills, aches, and weakness. But the fever is not the enemy. It is the body's brilliant strategy for creating an environment where the virus cannot survive. A nightmare is a psychic fever. The traumatic memory, the repressed fear, the deep-seated anger, this is the pathogen. The nightmare, with all its terrifying imagery and heart-pounding panic, is your psyche raising its emotional temperature to a fever pitch, creating a state where the toxic charge of that old pain can be burned away, neutralized, and cleansed, allowing your whole system to eventually return to a state of balance and health. This new perspective allows us to change our relationship with nightmares. Instead of just passively enduring them, we can begin to work with them. This is where the skill of lucid dreaming becomes an incredible therapeutic tool. If you can cultivate the ability to become conscious within a nightmare, you are no longer the victim of the drama. You are the empowered healer. You can consciously alter the script. If you are dreaming of the car crash, you can become lucid and give yourself the power to slam on the brakes in time, or to swerve to safety. You can rewrite the ending. If you are being pursued by a monster, you can become lucid. Stop running and use your conscious awareness to face the creature and ask it what it needs. You can even use your dream powers to heal it, to embrace it, to integrate its energy back into yourself. By consciously providing your psyche with a new, empowered outcome, you accelerate the healing process in a way that is almost miraculous. You are no longer just letting the fever run its course. You are consciously aiding the immune system of your own soul. It is also important to remember that this healing process is not reserved solely for what we think of as major, big T traumas. We all accumulate countless, small t traumas in our daily lives. The small humiliations, the suppressed angers, the anxieties we swallow, the conflicts we avoid. We go through our day with a smile on our face after our boss has belittled us, or after a partner has said something deeply hurtful. We push those feelings down, but they do not disappear. At night, they may arise as a nightmare. You dream of your boss as a monstrous giant, or of your partner's words becoming literal snakes that bite you. The nightmare is providing a necessary release valve. It is allowing you to finally experience the anger or the hurt you couldn't afford to feel in the moment. It is your mind's nightly sanitation service, cleaning out the emotional toxins of the day so that they do not build up and make you sick. So the next time you awaken, shaken from a nightmare, try a different response. Once your heart has calmed, instead of pushing the memory away in fear, whisper a quiet, strange kind of thank you. Thank your incredible psyche for its courage. Thank it for being so fiercely dedicated to your own wholeness that it is willing to walk through the fire for you, to endure the fever, to do the hard, painful work of cleaning your deepest wounds. The nightmare is not a sign that you are broken. It is the undeniable, powerful proof that you are in the process of becoming whole. It is the dark, churning, and beautiful evidence of your own profound resilience. We have journeyed together through the vast and varied landscapes of the inner world. We began as frightened tourists, haunted by recurring nightmares of falling, of being chased, of standing unprepared before the great tests of life. Slowly, we learned to be cartographers, mapping the architecture of our own souls. We became translators, learning the personal, symbolic language of our hearts. We evolved into shamans, asking for guidance, healing our wounds, and even into conscious creators, rehearsing our desired futures in the lucid laboratory of the night. We have crossed the boundaries of time and have stood at the sacred veil between worlds. Now, we must ask the final, ultimate question that this entire journey has been leading to. What if all this training, all this work, was never just about understanding your dreams? What if it was about understanding reality itself? Countless ancient wisdom traditions, from the Hindu sages to the Buddhist masters, have shared a single, profound secret: that what we call waking reality is itself a kind of dream. They call it Maya, or illusion. This does not mean that the world is not real, that the chair you are sitting on is fake, or that the people you love do not exist. It means that our perception of reality is a construct, a projection filtered through the narrow lens of our five senses and colored by the vast, intricate web of our personal and collective beliefs, fears, and desires. A dream, while you are in it, feels completely and totally real. You do not question its logic. You accept its reality without a second thought. Is it not possible that our waking life is a grander, more complex, and more persistent dream, one that we have simply not yet awakened from? The ancient Taoist sage, Zhuangzi, tells the most beautiful story of this mystery. One night, Zhuangzi dreamt that he was a butterfly, a happy, fluttering butterfly, who was thoroughly enjoying himself and had no awareness of being Zhuangzi at all. He woke up, and there he was, solid and unmistakably Zhuangzi. But he could not tell for certain which was real. And so he asked the question that has echoed through the centuries: was I, Zhuangzi, dreaming I was a butterfly, or am I now a butterfly, dreaming I am Zhuangzi? The purpose of this story is not to find a logical answer. Its purpose is to dissolve the hard, artificial boundary we place between our dream world and our waking world, to invite us into a state of profound, open-ended wonder about the nature of our own consciousness. This is the ultimate purpose of all our dream work. The practice of lucid dreaming is the most direct and powerful training for what we might call lucid living. The moment you achieve lucidity in a dream, the moment you realize, I am dreaming, you gain a new level of freedom and creative power. To achieve lucidity in life is the very goal of spiritual awakening. It is the moment, in the middle of a heated argument, that you suddenly become aware of your anger as a pattern, as a program running, and you realize, I am dreaming this anger, which gives you the freedom to choose a different response. It is the moment you feel the familiar pang of unworthiness and can observe it as a recurring narrative, realizing, I am dreaming this feeling of not being enough, which allows you to disconnect from its power. Lucid living is moving through the world with the awareness that our reality is shaped by our perceptions, and that we have the power to change those perceptions. Every lesson our dreams have taught us along this journey was never just about a specific, isolated problem. It was a chapter in the manual for awakening. The dream of being chaste was not just about avoiding a deadline, it was teaching you the universal spiritual law. What you resist, persists. Face your shadow. The dream of falling was not just about job insecurity, it was teaching you the sacred art of surrender, of letting go of the ego's need to control. The dream of the unprepared test was not just about imposter syndrome, it was teaching you to detach your inherent worth from the outcomes of your actions. These were not small messages. They were, and are, the great truths, delivered to you night after night, in the privacy of your own mind. This leads us to the final, liberating realization. As you have journeyed through your dreams, you have met monsters and guides. You have explored terrifying basements and beautiful, undiscovered rooms. You have felt the thrill of flight and the pain of loss. But who was the one experiencing all of this? Who was the hero of every story? It was you. And who was the monster? Who was the guide? Who was the landscape? That was also you. In the dream, everything is a projection of a single consciousness, the dreamer. The final awakening is to apply this understanding to the dream of life. The person who angers you is a projection. The situation that challenges you is a projection. They are all parts of a single, unified consciousness expressing itself, a great cosmic dream. And you are not a separate character being tossed about by its whims. You are the dreamer. The entire world, in all its beauty and all its terror, is arising within your own boundless awareness. There is no separation. This is the end of loneliness. This is the end of fear. This is the beginning of true freedom. We have traveled a long and winding road together, through the landscapes of the night, and into the very heart of consciousness itself. We began our journey as frightened travelers in a foreign land, haunted by recurring dreams we could not understand, seeing them only as chaotic, meaningless static. We learned to become patient scribes and translators, discovering that these were not random noise at all, but a rich and personal symbolic language. We walked through the great halls of our own inner architecture. We sailed the vast oceans of our emotions, and we met the wild, totemic spirit of our own instincts. We learned not just to listen to our dreams, but to engage with them, to ask for their guidance, to use their power to heal our deepest wounds and to rehearse our brightest futures. And finally, we arrived at the ultimate realization that the skills we honed in the dream world were, all along, training for the great dream of life itself. If there is one single truth to take with you from our time together, let it be this: the guidance you seek is not outside of you. The peace you crave will not be found by silencing the strange voices of the night, but by learning to understand their language of love. Your recurring dreams are not warnings to be feared, but invitations to be understood. They are not a sign that you are broken, but the evidence that a wise, powerful, and incredibly resilient part of you is actively trying to guide you back to wholeness. Serenity is not a destination you must struggle to reach. It is a state of being that arises naturally when you stop running, when you stop fighting, and you simply listen to the wisdom that has been inside you all along. And so, we leave you here, at the doorway of your own nightly adventure, with a new sense of purpose. We leave you with a feeling not of confusion, but of clarity, not of fear, but of hope. We leave you with a sense of your own profound power. Tonight, when you lay your head down to rest, do so not just to sleep, but to commune. See your pillow not just as a place of rest, but as an altar. You have a nightly appointment with the most ancient, wise, and loving guide you will ever know, your own soul. You do not need to journey to a distant temple or seek out an external guru. The oracle is within you. Listen for its whispers in the sacred darkness, for they contain the pure, undeniable light of your very own dawn.